Akuma. Finally, we have Akuma revealed for Street Fighter 6. And if you missed the initial reveal, I wouldn't blame you because I nearly missed it myself. So it's kind of a strange format. We had the Capcom highlights, which is, I suppose, Capcom's answer to the Nintendo Direct. They're clearly trying to copy that same format. So I knew this was occurring today, so I kept my eye out. And then literally the first announcement, as soon as the clock went down, I opened it up with 10 seconds remaining on the timer. And then boom, it was straight into Street Fighter 6 and boom, straight into Akuma. So we immediately got Akuma, the first official look at Akuma. So, you know, we already seen the promotional artwork for his concept art. So they started with this and I was like, okay, we're gonna get a few details about Akuma. And they said, we'll like to share a short video about Akuma. And I was like, okay, Akuma, they're going to talk about when you'll come out or something? No, it was a full-blown cinematic trailer, and actually the best cinematic trailer we've had for a character release so far, because for all the other DLC characters, Rashid, Aki, and Ed, they've all shown sort of their reveal interaction cinematic for the World Tour mode, which is kind of corny. You know, it's a bit cheesy, and it's not really taking the characters too seriously. It's putting them in the very silly world of the World Tour, but they went kind of ham with this cinematic. And this area looks sick. So this is what is it called? The Goken, the Gokuento. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but they say Gokuento World Tour stage. I don't know if this is going to be an actual stage that you can play in. I'm hoping it's going to be a multiplayer stage. I don't know if you guys saw any confirmation regarding that. I don't remember. I didn't pick up on any confirmation that this would actually be a stage and for the main game. So I'm hoping it is. But Akuma looks sick. He starts breaking down the statues. He has beef with these statues. I guess they're like Oni statues. He was doing some Hadoken palming into the statue. And this Shoryuken is interesting. So let's go ahead. I'm not going to show the whole trailer at regular speed here because I'm assuming you guys have seen it. But if you look at this Shoryuken here, there's some interesting details with it. So let's go into slow-mo with it right here. So he starts getting equipped with this power-up ambience around him, and it has some sort of armor effect, like some Japanese-style armor. So you can see here there's an extra fist forming around him and a mask forming around him as well. It's sort of like an Oni mask. So I don't know if it's supposed to be him channeling the Misatsu or whatever, Asura's Wrath type effect. It does feel like there's a lot of references to Asura's Wrath, because I didn't play Asura's Wrath, but from what I've seen and know about it, like the narrator mentions he wants to take his power beyond the heavens. Asura's Wrath, they straight up go to the moon, don't they? I wonder if they're trying to channel that same sort of scale that happens with Asura's Wrath with Akuma now. Like, how do we take Akuma to the next level? I think they're implying sort of like going down that path. So you can see here, he has this extra whole body aura around him, and this is sort of like the Oni statue, I believe. And they show Ryu. I don't know if you guys caught that. At full speed, it's you blink and you miss it. It's literally just a flash, a few frames. It's Ryu right here, doing his regular Shoryuken. I don't know if that's supposed to be young Akuma. There's Ryu. Is Akuma just Ryu from the future? Are they about to go into a time travel arc? So he goes, punches through the falling debris, takes the head off the Oni statue. You didn't see Ryu live? I saw it when it flashed live, and I thought it was Ryu, and I went back and confirmed it. Fits with that mission so great, they seek to soar beyond the very heavens. So I feel like they're really... Is Akuma going to space? Are we going to see Moon Akuma? That's what's going to happen. But his design looks so sick. What an angle. Very, very interesting perspective. But this trailer is by far the best trailer we've had for any Street Fighter 6 character so far. I'm glad they went full cinematic, went the extra mile, and just didn't, you know, copy paste the World Tour intro main character interaction cinematic. So they gave Akuma the presence and the care that he deserves, and that was it. Cool teaser. And his design is instantly, like, you don't get a good, clear look at him head on. You know, it's definitely still leaving a little bit to the imagination, but they're not just clearly showing him up front and center. So I still feel like you're going to get a better reveal of him when he finally releases, or get to see his gameplay trailer, which there's still a hint of mystique with the character, which I appreciate. Yeah, he's super hairy. So what I liked about this is clearly an evolution of his Street Fighter V design. Street Fighter V Akuma was instantly extremely jarring. Like, this was very, very jarring to see. I liked the effect in theory. The the full, you know, hair going crazy lion's mane effect, but it was the hair was too. It was too much of a neck beard situation going on. It just didn't feel right in these pictures. It grew on me over time, but it's very jarring at first. Yeah, sunflower, dandelion, lion's mane effect here, but I don't get any of that like, feeling when I look at Street Fighter 6 Akuma. And this is clearly an evolution of the Street Fighter 5 design, right? It's him in this form aged. The silver hair looks sick. I think they nailed sort of the balance of like where his crazy hair should be. It doesn't go full neck beard. It's like lowered a little bit. He has more of a pronounced face. It was kind of strange looking in Street Fighter 5. Yeah, so even this frame, like the beard, it starts lower, but then it bushes up into his grill, which I think is just a much better look. But yeah, it doesn't have that silly comedic effect. Like looking at Street Fighter 5 Akuma at first, it's kind of like, what is this? Street Fighter 6 Akuma feels like a natural evolution of that design, clearly aged up and looks dope. He looks sick. There's no like, I don't know. Sometimes you see new character designs, and because it doesn't meet your expectations for what you think the character should be, you might meet it with some hesitation just because it's new and you need time to digest it. I didn't need any time to digest this. This was instantly palatable. This was instantly like, yep, looks dope. Looks better than the concept art. Like the concept art undersold it, I feel like. I do like this sketch, but I'm just saying the weight of the character is fully realized in this actual 3D model in this setting, right? So that begs the question, why wasn't this shown at Capcom Cup? We're what, 2.5 weeks out of Capcom Cup? After seeing this and seeing how sick this looked, and seeing the fact that it was shown on this random Capcom highlights stream, which hardly anybody was watching, and had no buildup, and I'm deep in this, and I almost missed this. Why wasn't this at Capcom Cup? This really surprised me. This would have been such a cherry on top, a huge moment to mark the occasion of the first Street Fighter Millionaire ever, the biggest fighting game tournament of all time, and it would have given a big bow on the end of the show instead of kind of the awkward send-off that it had instead. I almost want to blame some Capcom higher-ups. I feel like Capcom is trying to compete with Nintendo with this Capcom highlights strategy. I wonder if there's some kind of like investor psychology they're trying to play with. I feel like there's something bigger at the higher-ups of Capcom where they told the Street Fighter team that they couldn't show this at Capcom Cup. They had to save it for Capcom highlights. This is so unceremoniously dropped. This Capcom highlights thing is not in the gaming culture. It's not in the conscious of the gaming community yet, like the Nintendo Direct is. So I don't really understand what this is. I just feel like it's a huge missed opportunity, and it would have been a lot more fun, I feel like. So after that, they brought on Nakayama-san to talk about some other updates. So basically, the highlights of this are that Akuma will be dropping in spring. So they went that vague. So spring, if you guys don't know, is anytime between March 19th and June 20th. So that's the closest we have for a date for Akuma. Is it next week or is it in 3 months? I feel like there has to be at least another month. But beyond that, they also made some announcements about upcoming things for CPT. They announced the Capcom Pro Tour again, and they said there's going to be $1 million prize for first place again, which is what we heard at the end of Capcom Cup. And then they said that it's going to start in June. So the only new information we got about CPT is that it starts in June. However, is there going to be offline tournaments? Is there going to be a different format? Is it going to follow the same online format? How many qualifiers are there going to be? What's the deal? So was there any new information? They said go to CapcomProTour.com, and the website's not updated. So there's still zero info on what's going on. So it starts in June. It's in 3 months, but we still have no idea what the tour format is going to be like. And the lack of news on that front makes me worried that it's going to be the exact same thing. All online, same regions, maybe not even any offline qualifiers, which is really, really disappointing. I'm extremely disappointed in that. I know there was a whole debate about what would be ideal for the Capcom Pro Tour, and the concept of giving opportunities to more regions around the world versus only allowing players who had access or the ability to travel more for a point system like 2019 and prior. But I was hoping to see a better hybrid solution to bring more offline events, because I feel like the biggest fumble of Season 1 of Street Fighter 6 was the lack of offline tournaments. There is just such a huge gap in the FGC experience and the culture because we have no offline tournaments. You know, I definitely think we need to have more or keep a lot of regional representation, but the fact that there's no offline events to follow where you can put faces to names and feel the crowd and feel the energy and have players intermingle more often from different regions to have some kind of power scaling to understand where players lie in the world scale and to get a better perspective of the scale of talent competing for the CPT, I think that's a huge miss. I think that is a huge miss, and if they're going with the exact same format next season, I really hope there's a lot more effort stepped up to communicate the format, communicate the events, to broadcast them, to tell the stories of the players, and to make sense of it all for the viewers, and to keep people engaged with the season. So we'll see. We'll see if there's more news on that front. In the past, what I've heard on the inside is that a lot of this shit gets settled last minute, and a lot of CPT stuff comes together in the very final hour. So maybe there will be changes. It's possible. I don't know. I'm hoping there will be some, and I'm hoping it improves because I just want to see more offline competition. They also had some discussion about Street Fighter League. So Street Fighter League is confirmed for 2024. They were mostly talking about Street Fighter League Japan because Street Fighter League Japan is doing really well. I wonder why. It's as if having consistent competition over a season with high-level competitors over an actual extended period of time in real time where players can adapt and grow over the season mixed with offline competition gives viewers something to follow, storylines to follow throughout a season, right? What a surprise. So Street Fighter League Japan is doing really well, and they added 3 more teams to the roster. So they kept the previous 9 and added 3 more. So they're bragging about how Street Fighter League Japan is expanding. But that said, you know, no news on EU or USA other than it's happening. I suppose they mentioned it starts in July. I don't know if that's for all of them. I would imagine that's probably just for Japan. Based on the lack of announcement for EU and US, I'm assuming they're once again going to film it all in a 2-week period, which you know, it makes sense for how the production has to play out, but it makes it less engaging because you know that they filmed it all at once. There's not time for teams to grow and adapt over time and watch the meta change as people figure out the game. It's just 2 weeks condensed down, and then they split up the episodes throughout a season, which I think makes the final product not as engaging. But it exists. I'm glad it still exists. It seems like the experiment of Street Fighter League has done well, particularly in Japan. Why is it not EU instead of Europe? Because EU is also European Union, and that got funky. So that's what I imagine. And so that's all. That's all the announcement they had today. The other big thing to take away from this as well, I suppose, is the fact that besides these announcements, Nakayama-san ended on saying that they're working on 2 key features. They're adding some sound-related features and thinking about the Battle Hub. So sound-related features and thinking about events for the Battle Hub. So what this tells me is that there is no plans for the balance patch to occur anytime before June. So whenever Akuma drops, and then after that, prior to June, we should be seeing the actual Season 2 balance patch. So I was hoping to get some kind of information about that, but yeah, to be honest, I was hoping this season would be shorter. Typically with Street Fighter V in previous years, Capcom Cup was held in like January, February, and then the next season would begin that night or the next day, right? I was hoping that they would just make this a short season and just go immediately into Season 2 after Capcom Cup, because then that allows EVO to be after several months of the season going on. EVO is more in the middle of the season rather than the beginning. I don't like EVO being at the beginning of the season. I really don't like that. I'd rather EVO be more about a more mature meta than people figuring out things early on. If anything, I feel like EVO Japan should start the season now, same as Second World Tour. That as well. If you're going to have one of the EVOs be the one where it's like the brand new patch, make it EVO Japan, which is what happened traditionally for Street Fighter V as well. To hear that they're going all the way for 1 year to follow the same yearly pattern that the game released with kind of messes with the timetables for what we expected compared to Street Fighter V, which I don't love, but it'll be whatever. But in conclusion, why wasn't this at Capcom Cup? That's all I want to know. This would have been the greatest Capcom Cup ever if they had just concluded with this trailer, but instead they saved it for a random stream on a Monday 2 weeks later. Strange moves. But Akuma is coming. Akuma is coming.